Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're talking about something that's important for every single business person out there. We have with us a special guest, Jamie, and she's going to talk to us about trademarks and patents and things like that. Things that we don't want to think about, but when we don't think about, it can be pretty expensive for us. So, welcome, Jamie. I'm just going to run around the room and say hi to everybody who's here. Hi, Joanne. Would you like to introduce yourself, say who you are and what you do real
Yes.
quickly?
Yeah, I'm Joanne, and my business is Rajo, and I show people how they can incorporate raw foods into their healthy lifestyle.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Next on my screen, we have Carl. Welcome, Carl. Thanks so much for joining us. Would you be available to say who you are and what you do?
I thought this was an AA meeting that
It is, but you get a chance to say who you are and what you do. Isn't that wonderful?
Jamie and I are drying out. So she invited me today just to, I'm Carl Slicer. I'm the owner of Best Hire. We do background checks for employers. And I saw Jamie talking about this important feed this morning. So I thought I'd chime in and see if I can't pick up a few pointers.
Awesome. Thank you, Carl. Susan, my dear friend, welcome. Can you tell our audience who you are and what it is that you do?
Yes, I am Sue Mazer. I am from Coventry, Connecticut, and I am a director and trainer with the Pampered Chef, which is a direct sales company that's been around for 40 years, and I've been around with them for 19 years. So very busy time of year, very busy time of year.
I need my can opener.
I know, I'm getting it for you, I promise.
Galina, welcome. How are you today?
I'm okay, thank you. How about you?
I am wonderful.
Okay, I'm a CPA. I am a tax accounting advisor. I specialize in individuals and small businesses, and I guess that summers it all.
Thank you, Jim. Welcome. So happy to see you. Jim is my dear friend, guys. Jim, can you tell everybody why I love you so much?
Oh, well, I mean, I think it's because I'm adorable, but that's neither here nor there. My name is Jim Williams. I'm the president and founder of Bohemia Creative Services. I, at this point in time, do creative consulting as well as audio and video work for creative people. I am the podcast guy for the Ladies Power Lunch podcast network, and I'm a podcast producer. And if you're interested in doing a podcast with Ladies Power Lunch, let Davia know, and then she'll send you my way, and we'll do a consultation. I'd be glad to help you out. Or if there's any other, performance-based or creative things that you need a consultant for, or anything like that, go ahead and drop me a line.
Beautiful. I love it.
Really
and Joan, welcome. So nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Who are you?
Thank
what
you.
do you do?
I'm Joan Wilson. I am an estate planning and elder law attorney in Middletown and Clinton. And I know Jamie from a networking group that we have of all attorneys. So I was interested to hear what she has to say about trademarks as I open up a new office up in Middletown.
Excellent. All righty. Well, thank you everybody for introducing yourselves, and thank you for everybody who's joined us over on Facebook. Welcome to you too. So Jamie, please go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Davia. I'm really happy to be here today. I have been practicing in the area of trademarks and copyrights for 15 years. This has been a passion actually for 20 years of mine. Since 2000, I knew I wanted to go to law school to be an intellectual property attorney. And that's what I've been doing for my whole career. I help clients to make sure that their brand names, logos, and slogans, which are all trademarks, are available to be used and registered. So you're not stepping on someone else's toes and realize a year into being in business that you can't use the heart and soul of your business because it's actually owned by someone else. And I also help clients with the trademark registration process with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And I had a pretty good streak going on lately where I've basically gone from application to registration with only minimal changes required by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office examining attorneys. They'll just send me an email. We'll take care of it via examiner's amendment. And I have been having clients' applications go straight through very easily over the last year. So that's my goal, to make the process as easy and as efficient as possible for my clients.
Awesome. So, I have to say, a lot of us who are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, we kind of don't see the importance of doing this sort of thing sometimes. Tell us, why do we need to do this? Why is this important to our businesses?
Sure. Well, the first thing really that an entrepreneur or a small business thinks about when they're starting their business is what it's going to be called. It is the most important part of your business. That's how your clients recognize you. You build up what's called goodwill in your brand name, in your logo, and that's how people recognize you. And you don't want to find out a year into doing business that you need to change all of that. You could potentially lose it's actually the most important piece of your business, because that's how people recognize you. So it's important to do this in order to make sure to register your mark and to make sure that you've done that trademark search, so that you know that there is a very low risk attached with using your brand name and logo, your intellectual property assets.
One of my very, very favorite mentors likes to say that words don't teach, but stories do. And I don't have permission to share her name, but one of our very own members here in our group, she has an outstanding product, and it's a physical product. And she was in a lot of the major retailers with her outstanding product. I have bought her product. She's given me samples of her products. She's great. She's the real deal. And she actually got action taken against her because the name that she's using in her business, or was using in her business, was being used by somebody, I want to say out in California, maybe somewhere on the other side of the country, somebody that, you wouldn't think of, but because she was being now courted by some of the bigger name retailers, suddenly they're starting to notice her. And so as her business started to take off, the next thing that happened was that she had to actually close her business because the action ended up being super expensive. Does this sound like anything you've ever heard about?
Yes, I mean, this happens sort of all the time. If you don't sort of do your homework when you're starting out, either as the name of your business or the name of specific products or services that you offer. In terms of someone in California having rights over someone in Connecticut, I mean, that could happen. For example, if this this business in California has a federal trademark registration, or they have prior common law rights in California, and this company from Connecticut is coming into the California market where this other company either has registered or what's called common law trademark rights that are enforceable trademark rights that develop based on the use of your mark for a good or service. So yeah, that happens all the time. And in terms of, this wasn't my client, but in a town right next to mine in Avon, Connecticut, there was a restaurant that had been open for about a year called Lime Bar and Grill. And they got a demand letter from a company called Lime Fresh Mexican Grill based in Tennessee, I believe. And they had a federal trademark registration with franchise business in the southeast corner of the country, and none in Connecticut. So I'm not sure what their rights were in Connecticut, but because of their federal trademark registration and their prior rights of using the mark in various states, that was enough for Lime Bar and Grill in Avon to have to change their name. That's how they resolved this dispute. So a year into their business, they're having to modify their logo and the way that their name is presented because of someone with prior rights that maybe if Lime Bar and Grill had done a trademark search before they opened their business and before they started to promote their name, they may have known about that and decided to maybe do something differently.
So, when something like this happens, how does it affect a business?
These things are generally, a lot of times these things don't go to trial. You're not going to, you're going to be able to settle these things in before it gets to a trial, before it gets to the trial phase of a trademark trial and appeal board hearing, which is the administrative body within the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. A lot of these cases are settled by either one company saying they're not going to use the name anymore, coming up with a coexistence agreement where the two companies coexist, but one company always has to use their name with a logo, and you can't be in this geographic area, and you always have to use your mark for these goods and services. So a lot of times these cases can be resolved for, not a lot of money to come, but sometimes it results in the closure of a business. I mean, in my experience, that's pretty extreme. The worst thing that could likely happen when you resolve these cases is that a company will have to completely change its name.
Yeah. Well, like I said, our member, she has subsequently closed her manufacturing business, and that's an extreme case, but it's a real case. And so, what advice do you have for people who might be thinking that having a trademark search or investigation is expensive?
I think that it's like buying an insurance. It's like having a home without a home insurance policy. It's like,
that's expensive.
Right? You need to know when you're going out there with a new business or a new product or service that has a name that you have to be assured that you're not going to get a demand letter. You're not going to be sued in court. So I think that it can be a little bit of an investment when you start a business, but it's worth it because it's going to be a lot more expensive for you to litigate in court or pay lawyers' fees if you have to settle a trademark infringement case. It's all about the investment in your business and your most important assets.
So what are the things that we should be absolutely looking out for? What are the do's as far as trademarks go?
Well, I mean, once you should consider hiring a trademark attorney as soon as you come up with a new business name or a new name for a product or service. I mean, the first thing I tell my clients that they can do is a Google search to make, and I think a lot of people just would intuitively do that. You can also use the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website and do a quick search there for proposed brand names. And then I would still talk to a lawyer before the application is filed, because a lot of times if there is a conflict, it may not be a huge risk to you adopting that name, but so the lawyer can tell you what the risks are, whether they're low or high, and we can prepare a trademark application to get around certain prior filed trademark applications or registrations so that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office doesn't cite those prior marks as obstacles to your application. So that's why it's really important to do that search. And, there's other options to do more complex searches, but I think that's really like the search. Even if you don't file an application, you need to do that clearance search to make sure that you're all set to use this mark, because, registration has numerous benefits, which I can talk about if you'd like. But you do have enforceable common law trademark rights that are geographically limited, but doing that search, I think, is number one.
Yeah, so say a little bit more about what you just mentioned.
Sure, about the trademark registrations?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's some benefits are that you can use the R in a circle with your logo and brand names. There's a legal presumption that you own the mark that your company owns the mark. It's not a descriptive mark. It's distinctive enough. You have the rights to use that mark because it's distinctive enough, and have rights to enforce it. And it's a legal presumption that you have exclusive rights to use that mark nationwide, which, like in the example that you gave earlier, if your friend had a trademark registration, it could have predated maybe the use out in California, and she could have more easily expanded her business out to California. So if you are thinking of franchising your business or expanding your business outside of Connecticut, for example, having that trademark registration is really important, so you know that you have the freedom to do that. It provides constructive notice nationwide that you have these trademark rights, and it deters other businesses from adopting your brand name or logo.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes enforcing your trademark easier and less expensive because of the presumptions that I discussed, that you own the mark, that it's not descriptive, and it's not confusingly similar to any other mark registered by a third party. And in addition, some practical benefits are investors are more likely to invest in your business if you have all of your intellectual property buttoned up, like having your trademarks registered. And potential buyers of your business or licensees will be paying a higher price if you have your intellectual property, including your trademarks, registered and buttoned up.
Awesome. I have a question here in the chat from Joan. She'd like to know, should we trademark a logo or a tagline?
You can do both. What I usually recommend is, depending on how distinctive the logo is, you always want to maybe start with the house mark or the words that are in the design, and register those in standard characters so that you have a right to use that wording in any color, in any stylization, or with any design.
Okay.
And then if you have a particularly distinctive logo, you should consider registering that as well. And slogans are also registrable in the US, whereas it's a little bit more difficult to register slogans outside of the US. For example, in Europe, it's quite difficult in the European Union. It's quite difficult to register slogans, but here not so much.
Oh, okay. What else can we be considering registering? Like, I don't know, maybe if you wrote a book or you have a show, or what else should we be paying attention to?
Sure. Those kinds of things are covered by copyright law.
Okay.
Copyright law covers works of authorship and works of art, musical recordings, so books, songs, paintings, written content. Those are all covered by copyright law, and you have enforceable copyright rights from the creation of works of authorship. However, and you can enforce those rights, you can get royalties based on those rights. However, you can't enforce in court until you have the copyright registration for that content. And if you see that someone is infringing your rights, there is only so far that you can potentially go to get those rights, your rights resolved, if you don't have that registration. So it's good to sort of think about doing that for your intellectual property that's covered by copyright, because it can take up to 8 months or more to get the copyright registration, which you need to file an infringement action in court. And to get an expedited registration cost, the government fee is $800 as opposed to like $45 to $65 if filed in the usual course. And then patent law covers inventions and designs of products, business methods, for example. So if you have invented a product that's innovative, I would recommend talking to a patent attorney about patent protection for that product.
Okay, I see. So tell us a story about a time when because your client has been protected, they basically have had a better time or an easier time than they would have if they weren't.
Sure. I mean, I used to represent a company that's in the online travel booking industry. I represented them for more than a decade, and because of their registered rights all over the world, we were able to very easily take down domain names, for example, that were registered by cyber squatters who would use their trademark in a domain name and then, direct it to a parked page with click-through links, or direct it to a page with competitive travel booking services. And if you have those registrations, that is a powerful thing to be able to say, you need to just take this down. And if they push back or they don't respond, you can use those established rights to file a uniform domain name dispute resolution proceeding to get the domain name transferred to you. It's easier to pick up the phone, for example, and say, hey, my client has these registrations. Would you mind just taking your domain name down or taking your infringing content down? It's just a powerful thing to have, and also provides obviously legal and practical rights as well.
I think this is an important conversation for us to have because a lot of the women and the few men who choose to join us here at Ladies Power Lunch, their intention with their business is to increase not just their income, but also their impact. And so they're getting on bigger stages, or they're getting on, for example, like our member who she was getting into Target and Walmart and Whole Foods, they're trying to go bigger. And once you start getting into that, playing in that bigger marketplace, you realize that other people are starting to see you, both in a good way and also in a way that can be a challenge for your business.
Right.
And so this is why I thought it's absolutely important to let our members know that they have you in their back pocket, and that they can actually have a consultation with you to find out what they can do and how they can prevent any kind of adverse actions against their business. So how can people reach out to you? How can people get in touch with you?
Sure. And yeah, I mean, if you want to consult with me to talk about what your intellectual property assets are, like you may have things that need to be registered as a trademark, things to be registered as a copyright, I can help you sort of do that audit of your intellectual property. So I can be
I like that audit. That is a great idea, right?
Yeah. You can reach me. I'm Jamie Sternberg on LinkedIn. You can do a Google search for my name with the word trademark. I'll come up for that. You can find me on the Saunders and Silverstein law firm page. And, you can always email me at jsternberg@sandsip.com, which is snsip.com.
Right. Galena wants to know if you represent both sides in case of a dispute.
I've represented, yes, both sides, obviously not in the same dispute because that would be a conflict of
Right.
interest.
That wouldn't work. But let's say, for example, I am needing to protect myself, then you would represent me. But also if somebody sent me a demand, would you be available to represent that as well?
Yes, I send demand letters, and I certainly help my clients defend themselves against demand letters and settle those cases in the most favorable and economic way possible. And
like that.
And, for the companies where we send demand letters on their behalf, no one wants to litigate. So we need to find ways to resolve matters the most economical way for them. So if we're having trouble contacting someone, find another email address, find a phone number, pick up the phone, call them, find every which way around to get them to stop what they're doing short of litigating. And that's what I've been doing for years. I mean, I've had clients for years who didn't really want to litigate. We want these things resolved as best as possible for the least amount of money and headache.
Awesome. And I can say that Jamie is our preferred partner as far as trademark things go with Ladies Power Lunch. And Candice is saying here in the chat that Jamie is very thorough and great to work with. So you've got the butterfly stamp of approval. That's
Thank
for
you so
sure.
much, Candice.
Awesome, awesome. So everybody, I hope that this was very informative for you. I hope that if you have further questions, that you'll feel very free to reach out to Jamie in our group. One of the things that I love to say, and I would love to remind you about today, is that we have so many amazing members in our group. We have members who, because we have become so familiar with them and we know them so well, we don't realize how amazing they are and the wonderful things that they can do to help support us in our businesses. So I would say, if you're in small business, everything you need is in this room. And all you need to do is just post in the chat asking your question, and the experts that we have as our friends and as our members will hop to the opportunity to support you. So do take advantage definitely of Jamie's expertise, but also of all the wonderful members that we have here with us as well. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us today. This was such a pleasure talking to you. And thank you, everybody who joined us, who just came on and supported and showed, your support for Jamie. That's really, really awesome. Thank you to everybody who joined us over on Facebook. And I'll catch you guys at 1 for Free Gift Friday. Thanks, guys.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Thank you. Bye.